Hey everyone, welcome back to our series of videos on how to solve a 3x3 Rubik's Cube. This is step 3. It's actually video 4, but we had an intro video somewhere in there. If you haven't seen that, check it out in the links below. It'll make the rest of these videos way easier to understand. If you don't remember, my name is Will. I've got a new helper today. This is my son. I taught him how to do this when he was 7 or maybe even 6. It's been a long time. He is actually better at this than I am now and consistently beats me when we do little races against each other. We'll do one of those later on one of these videos. I'll prove to you how bad I am at this compared to him. I also want to remind you, a lot of these steps are covered in a book that we have on Amazon. I have a few pages of it here that kind of line up with what we're about to talk about, where we're going to get into the white corners and show you some of the different scenarios. Really just comes down to how you learn and what works better for you. If you're good with these videos, stick with these videos. We love that you're watching them. And let's not forget we have our helper, the Tiger, currently working on a 2x2, not doing very well. You're not going to have that problem though, because we're covering these 3x3s. And just to recap, what you should be holding in your hands if you've gone through steps 1 and 2 is a cube with a white cross, and then in the second layer, 4 sides that line up with the colors of the white cross. So there we've got green, there we've got orange. You'll see those line up on all 4 colors. That's what you should be starting with. What we're going to end up with at the end of this step is the 4 white corners down in that layer, and not only are they down in that layer, they're exactly where they're supposed to be. So I've got a green and red that's between the green and red edges, and so on. If I rotate through here, you'll see red and blue, then you'll see blue and orange, and lastly you'll see orange and green. So at the end of the step, you'll be done with that first layer. This is the first step that we've seen where you're actually going to want to start this step with the yellow face facing up. We're going to get into the scenarios in a minute. You're going to notice a common theme in all of these steps. They all come down to 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 scenarios. And there's always an extra scenario where the step is solved already and you don't really have to do anything. For the sake of this step, we've got 3 main scenarios, a 4th kind of edge case, and then the 5th scenario would be the step is completely done and there's nothing for you to do. All right, so let's get into those scenarios. In each of these scenarios, the first thing you're going to want to do with that yellow side up is look for any white corners that are up in that yellow layer. Here, as I glance at this, I see 2. I see this one and I see this one. And what I'm going to want to do with each of those, one at a time, is take that corner. So this particular one has blue and orange on it. I'm going to want to twist it until it's between the blue and orange faces. So if I have it right here, it's between orange and green. That's not where I want it. If I have it here, it's now between green and red. Not quite its home yet. If I have it over here, it's red and blue. Almost there. Now I believe it's between, the blue and orange face. You want to hold it so that it's in the top front left corner. So what that really means is, by front, that means it's closest to you. Left, you know what that means. Top, you should know what that means as well by now. So once I have it there, it's now in one of my 3 main scenarios, and we're going to cover those 3 main scenarios now, but I just wanted to make it clear that before you even get into these scenarios, you've got to find one of those corners in the yellow layer and twist it until you get it between A, the 2 colors that it belongs, and B, that you're holding the cube the correct way. I'm going to go through that one more time quickly, and I'll try it with this other corner that's up here. This one is a red and green corner with white on it. So I'm going to turn it until it's between the red and green corners. If I get it there, it's now between a red and green corner. And again, if you're holding this, it's not quite done, because you want it, as you're facing it, you want it to be in the front top left corner. Right now it's in the front top right corner. So you want to hold it like this, so it's in the front top left corner. Liam is going to be my hand model here in a minute, and we're going to go through those 3 scenarios. Okay, here's scenario 1. We've twisted that corner to that front top left corner, like we said, and we notice that the white face is facing left. And that's what our 3 scenarios are going to come down to. That white face is either going to be facing left, it's going to be facing you, which we call facing the front, or it's going to be facing straight up. This is the first scenario where it's facing left. And what we're going to do when we get in that situation is perform an L turn, and then U back, and L back. And now you can see we pop that corner down. And that's kind of what these 3 steps come down to, is really just us popping a piece up from the bottom and then sliding that white corner into its place and sending it back down to the white layer where it belongs. All right, here's scenario 2. This is the scenario where the white face is facing us. We call that facing the front. What we're gonna do in that scenario, as long as we've got it in between the 2 proper colors that it belongs, we're gonna do U back, L, U, L back. And now we've sent that corner down to the bottom layer where it belongs. All right, here's scenario 3. This is where the white face is facing straight up. And when you get there, what we're gonna do is a few moves, and then you're gonna notice that we've got it to the point where it's simply facing left, and we just do those moves that we're already accustomed to. So here we go. The first thing we're gonna do is L, then U2, L back, and U. And now we're in a situation where it's facing the side. And what we can do is just L, U back, L back. And now we've sent it down to the bottom. Here's scenario 4. Now this one's a little different than the other 3. This is where we've got a white corner that's down in the bottom layer. So it's not as easy as just twisting it around on the top and finding where it goes. What we're gonna do is pop it up into the top layer, and then at that point it will be in scenarios 1, 2, or 3. But before we can get there, we gotta get it up into that yellow layer in the first place. So the way we do that is, again, we bring it to, in this case, the front left bottom corner, because it's in the bottom layer. And once we've got it there, all we're gonna do is L, U back, L back. Now at this point we've got it up into the top layer. We can rotate it around, see where it goes, and it's either gonna be in scenarios 1, 2, or 3. That's really it. You've got those 3 scenarios, that 4th one where you just simply move it to get it into one of those 3 scenarios. You do that for each of those 4 corners one at a time, and you're gonna end up with a cube like this, where all 4 of them are in the proper home. And at the end of the step, you've got that bottom layer completely solved, and you've got it matching up with these middle faces as well. That's it so far. That's all we care about. We don't yet care about these pieces that are also in the middle layer. We don't care about any of the pieces in the top layer. That's it for step 3. Come back in a bit for step 4, where we'll be going over these middle edge pieces. If you want to find out when step 4 is ready, what can they do?
Subscribe.
Just subscribe. If you have comments or questions on any of these steps, by all means, please comment below and we'll try to answer all your questions. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.